The morning light filtered through the gauze curtains of the Moretti estate's service quarters, catching dust motes that danced like tiny stars. I pulled my dark hair into a tight bun, smoothing down the simple black uniform dress that had become my second skin over the past 8 months. The fabric was practical, modest, falling just below my knees with long sleeves that covered the fading bruises on my forearms, reminders of a life I was still running from. At 24, I'd learned that invisibility was a gift, that being overlooked meant being safe. And in this sprawling mansion overlooking Lake Como, safety was all I'd been searching for when I'd fled Chicago with nothing but a duffel bag and my younger sister's college fund that I'd promised to protect. The Moretti household was particular about routines. Breakfast at 7 sharp. Lunch at 1. Dinner at 8, unless Signor Moretti was entertaining, which he did with increasing frequency. I'd learned his patterns over these months, the way he took his espresso, no sugar double shot, the way he preferred his shirts pressed with military precision, the way he never ever looked directly at the staff, which suited me just fine. I gathered my cleaning supplies from the service closet, the familiar weight of the caddy grounding me. Upstairs I could hear the patter of small feet. Sophia, Signor Moretti's 6-year-old daughter, would be awake soon, demanding her favorite breakfast of cornetti with Nutella and fresh orange juice. The little girl had become my shadow over the past months, following me from room to room with endless questions and a smile that could melt glaciers. Her father, on the other hand, was ice personified. Dante Moretti, 35 years old, owner of Moretti International, a vast empire of hotels, restaurants, and import businesses that stretched across 3 continents. That was the official story. The one printed in business magazines and discussed at society dinners. The unofficial story, the one whispered by the other household staff late at night, was far more complicated. The Moretti family had roots that went deep into Italian soil, branches that extended into territories where law and order were suggestions rather than rules. Dante's father had been a legend, they said. A man who'd built an empire on loyalty and fear in equal measure. And when he died 3 years ago, Dante had inherited everything. The businesses, the power, the enemies. And the loneliness. I'd seen it in the rare moments when his guard dropped, when he thought no one was watching. The way he stood at his office window late at night, shoulders tense, staring out at the dark lake like it held answers he couldn't find. But those moments were rare. Most of the time, Dante Moretti was a force of nature wrapped in custom Italian suits, moving through his home with the controlled precision of a man who trusted nothing and no one. Julia. Sophia's voice rang out from upstairs, bright and demanding. Julia, where are you? I smiled despite myself, setting down my cleaning supplies. Coming, piccola. I found her in her bedroom, an explosion of pink and white with stuffed animals covering every surface. She stood in the middle of the chaos wearing mismatched pajamas, her dark curls, so like her father's, tangled from sleep. I want pancakes today, she announced. With the blueberries. And whipped cream. Lots of whipped cream. Does your papa know about this breakfast rebellion? I asked, kneeling to help her pick out clothes for the day. She giggled, a sound like bells. Papa lets me have whatever I want. He said so. Did he? I pulled out a simple dress, blue with white flowers. When did he say this? Last night when he tucked me in. He said I could have anything I wanted because I'm his princess. She stood still while I helped her dress, chattering about her dreams and her toys and 100 other things that 6-year-olds found endlessly fascinating. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. I'd learned that Sophia's mother had died when she was 2, some kind of accident that no one discussed in detail. The little girl barely remembered her, which seemed both blessing and tragedy. Dante raised her with the help of staff, maintaining routines and rules with the same precision he applied to his business empire. But in quiet moments I saw how he looked at his daughter. Like she was the only thing in his world that made sense. Like he'd burned down cities to keep her safe. Downstairs the kitchen was already bustling. Rosa, the head cook, ruled her domain with benevolent tyranny, while Marco, her husband and the estate's head of security, drank his morning coffee and read the newspaper. They'd worked for the Moretti family for 30 years, loyal as blood. Buongiorno, Julia, Rosa called, not looking up from the vegetables she was chopping with vicious efficiency. Sophia wants something special again? Pancakes with blueberries and excessive whipped cream. Rosa laughed, the sound rich and warm. That child will have Dante wrapped around her finger forever. Just like her mother did. Marco grunted, turning a page. She already does. Last week she convinced him to buy her a pony. A pony for a 6-year-old who lives in a mansion with no stable. He built a stable, Rosa pointed out. Exactly my point. I smiled, moving to help with breakfast preparations. These morning routines had become precious to me, this sense of belonging to something, even if it was just the edges of someone else's family. At 7 precisely, Dante descended the main staircase. I heard his footsteps, expensive leather on marble, and kept my eyes on the coffee I was preparing. I'd learned not to look directly at him, not to draw attention. Staff were meant to be invisible and I excelled at invisibility. Buongiorno, Signor Moretti, Rosa called from the kitchen. His response was a low rumble, more acknowledgement than greeting. I heard him settle at the dining table, the rustle of papers as he reviewed whatever business required his attention this morning. Papa. Sophia launched herself from the kitchen, and I heard his quiet laugh, the sound transforming his voice entirely. Principessa, careful. You'll spill my coffee. Julia's making pancakes. With blueberries. Is she? Pause. I thought we agreed on proper Italian breakfast. But Papa, you said I could have anything. Did I? The amusement in his voice was clear. I don't recall such a sweeping promise. You did. Last night. You said. Careful, piccola. I might rescind all future promises if you're going to use them against me so ruthlessly. Her giggles filled the dining room and something in my chest ached. This playfulness, this tenderness, it was so at odds with the cold businessman everyone else saw. I carried the espresso to the dining room, keeping my eyes lowered, my movements efficient. Set the cup precisely where he preferred it, stepped back without speaking. Grazie, he murmured, not looking up from his papers. I returned to the kitchen, but not before catching a glimpse of him in profile. Sharp jaw darkened with morning stubble, dark hair perfectly styled despite the early hour, shoulders that seemed to carry the weight of empires beneath his crisp white shirt. He was beautiful in the way dangerous things often are, compelling and utterly off-limits. The morning proceeded normally. I cleaned the upstairs rooms while Sophia attended her lessons with her tutor. Dante disappeared into his home office for calls that lasted hours, his voice occasionally rising in sharp Italian that needed no translation. At lunch, Sophia ate with her nanny while I helped Rosa prepare dinner. Osso buco tonight, Dante's favorite. It was only when I returned to my small room in the service wing that afternoon that I allowed myself to think about tonight. About the invitation that had arrived last week, forwarded from my old address in Chicago by the one friend who knew where I'd gone. Mia's wedding. My best friend since elementary school, getting married to her college sweetheart. The ceremony was in Milan, just an hour away, and Mia had begged me to come, to be there for her big day even though I'd missed the engagement party and the bridal shower and everything else while hiding in this lakeside mansion. I pulled the dress from the back of my closet, the one nice thing I'd brought with me when I'd fled. Deep emerald green, the color of summer leaves, with a neckline that dipped lower than anything I'd worn in months and a skirt that hugged my curves before flaring at the knees. It was beautiful and bold and everything I hadn't allowed myself to be since arriving here. For 8 months I'd been invisible. Plain. Safe. For one night I wanted to remember who I used to be. The afternoon sun was setting over the lake, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, when I finally showered and began transforming myself. I took my time savoring each step. Washed my hair until it shone, letting it fall in loose waves instead of the tight bun I always wore. Applied makeup with care, subtle around my eyes to make them seem larger, a touch of blush to bring color to my cheeks, lipstick in a shade of red I'd almost forgotten I owned. The dress slipped on like a second skin, the fabric cool against my freshly showered body. I'd lost weight these past months, stress and fear burning through any softness, but the dress still fit perfectly, highlighting curves I usually hid beneath my uniform. I stepped back from the small mirror in my room, barely recognizing the woman staring back. She looked confident, beautiful, like someone who belonged at a wedding, dancing and laughing and living instead of hiding. My phone buzzed. Mia sending photos of her getting ready, her excitement palpable even through text. The ceremony started at 8. I'd take the train, be there in an hour, slip into the back of the church so no one noticed me. Be back before midnight like some modern Cinderella. I grabbed my small clutch, checking that I had everything: phone, lipstick, the small canister of pepper spray I never went anywhere without, and opened my door. The hallway was empty, quiet. Most of the staff had the evening off, just Rosa and Marco remaining to watch Sofia while Dante attended some business dinner in Como. The coast was clear. I moved quickly through the service corridors, my heels clicking softly against the tile. Almost there. Just past the kitchen through the side door and... Dove stai andando? I froze, my heart stopping completely. That voice, low and commanding and absolutely unexpected. Where are you going? I turned slowly, dread pooling in my stomach, to find Dante Moretti standing at the intersection of hallways, clearly having just emerged from his office. He wore dark slacks and a white dress shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows, revealing forearms corded with muscle. His tie was loosened, top button undone, like he'd been working rather than preparing for dinner. But it was his expression that made my breath catch. He stood completely still, his dark eyes traveling over me with an intensity that felt physical. Starting at my heels, moving up my legs, lingering on the dress that suddenly felt far too revealing, finally reaching my face. His jaw clenched, a muscle jumping beneath his skin. The silence stretched between us, heavy and charged. I'd never seen him look at me directly before, not really. Had prided myself on being invisible to him. I wasn't invisible now. Signor Moretti, I managed, my voice coming out breathy and uncertain. I didn't realize you were still here. I thought you had dinner in Como. Cancelled. The single word was clipped, sharp. His eyes hadn't left my face. I'll ask again. Where are you going? Heat flooded my cheeks. A friend's wedding, signore. In Milan. I requested the evening off last week, if you recall. I recall. He moved closer and I caught the scent of his cologne, something expensive with notes of bergamot and cedar. What I don't recall is agreeing to you leaving this house dressed like that. The words hit like a slap. I'd spent 8 months being treated with distant professionalism, never crossing lines, never even acknowledging each other beyond what was necessary. And now he stood here looking at me like... I lifted my chin, finding that spark of defiance I'd buried months ago. Dressed like what, exactly? His eyes darkened. You know exactly what I mean. I'm wearing a dress to a wedding. It's appropriate attire. Appropriate. He repeated the word like it tasted wrong. Took another step closer until I could see the gold flecks in his dark eyes, could feel the heat radiating from his body. That dress is many things, Julia, but appropriate is not one of them. My name from his lips sent electricity down my spine. In 8 months he'd never used my name. I'd been the maid, or occasionally signorina when absolutely necessary. Hearing it now, rough with something I couldn't identify, made my skin prickle with awareness. I don't understand what you're objecting to. I kept my voice level despite my racing heart. The wedding invitation specified cocktail attire. This dress meets that requirement. The dress isn't the problem. His jaw clenched again. The problem is who's going to see you in it. The question hung between us, loaded with implications I didn't dare examine too closely. We stood in the dim hallway, the evening light from nearby windows casting shadows across his face, and something shifted in the air. Something dangerous and intoxicating. My friend and her wedding guests, I said carefully. That's who's going to see me. Your friend and her wedding guests. He stepped even closer, backing me against the wall without touching me. And how many of these wedding guests are single men? My breath caught. I don't know. I didn't review the guest list. You don't know. His voice dropped lower, almost a growl. You're walking into a room full of strangers in a dress that looks like an invitation, and you don't know who's going to be there. Anger sparked in my chest, mixing with the awareness that made my skin feel too tight. With all due respect, Signor Moretti, my personal life is not your concern. Isn't it? His hand came up, bracing against the wall beside my head. Not touching me but caging me in. You live under my roof. You work in my home. You take care of my daughter. That makes everything about you my concern. I take care of your daughter during working hours, I countered, finding courage I didn't know I possessed. Right now I'm on my own time doing as I please. On your own time. Something flashed across his face. Tell me, Julia, when did you start looking at me like that? The question stole my breath. Like what? Like you're not afraid of me. He leaned closer, his breath warm against my cheek. Like you see something besides the monster everyone else sees. I don't think you're a monster. Then you're naive. Or maybe I just see more clearly than you give me credit for. I met his eyes directly, refusing to back down. You're a good father. You're fair to your staff. You protect what's yours. That doesn't make you a monster. His expression shifted, something raw and vulnerable flashing across his features before being locked away. You don't know what I am. What I'm capable of. Then tell me. For a long moment we stayed frozen like that. His hand braced beside my head, my back against the wall, barely inches between us. I could feel the tension radiating from him, could see the war being waged behind his eyes. I can't, he finally said, his voice rough. I can't tell you because then you'd run. And he stopped himself, jaw clenching. You should go. Your friend's wedding. But he didn't move. Didn't step back and give me space. Just stood there looking at me like I was both a problem and a puzzle he couldn't solve. Signor Moretti. Dante. The correction came quietly. When it's just us, call me Dante. My heart hammered against my ribs. Dante, I said softly, testing his name on my lips. I don't understand what's happening right now. Neither do I. His free hand came up, fingers ghosting along my jaw without quite touching. For 8 months you've been invisible. Moving through my house like a ghost. And I let you because it was safer. For both of us. Safer from what? From this. His thumb brushed my lower lip, the barest touch that sent heat flooding through me. From me wanting to know everything about you. Where you came from. Why you're hiding. What put those shadows in your eyes that you think you hide so well? I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think beyond the feeling of his touch, the intensity of his gaze. I'm not hiding, I whispered, the lie tasting bitter. We're both hiding, Kara. The only difference is I'm better at pretending I'm not. He finally stepped back, creating distance that felt like loss. Go to your wedding. Dance with your friends. Laugh like you have every right to be happy. And when I come back? His expression hardened. When you come back, we go back to how things were. You're invisible. I'm blind. We maintain appropriate distance. I don't want to be invisible anymore. The admission escaped before I could stop it. His eyes flashed, dark and dangerous. You should, he said quietly. Being invisible keeps you safe. Being seen by me, that's dangerous in ways you can't understand. Try me. He stared at me for a long moment, and I saw the exact second he made his decision. Saw something shift in his expression from restraint to something far more dangerous. Come with me. Not a request. He was already moving, expecting me to follow. I should have gone to the wedding. Should have walked away from whatever this was and maintained the careful boundaries we'd established. Instead, I followed him through the quiet house, my heels clicking against marble as he led me to his private office. The room was all dark wood and leather, windows overlooking the lake, now dark under the night sky. He moved to the bar, pouring 2 glasses of amber liquid without asking if I wanted one. Sit. He gestured to the leather sofa. I sat, accepting the glass he handed me. Whiskey, smooth and expensive, burning pleasantly down my throat. Dante didn't sit. Instead, he stood by the windows, backlit by the city lights across the lake, his posture rigid with tension. My father built this empire on blood, he said without preamble. Started with nothing in Sicily, came to Como with a single suitcase and a willingness to do what others wouldn't. By the time I was born, he owned half the restaurants in northern Italy. Legitimate businesses funded by less legitimate means. He turned to face me, his expression unreadable in the shadows. When he died, I inherited everything. The hotels, the restaurants, the shipping companies. And the other things. The protection services. The money that moves through channels that would never survive scrutiny. The relationships with people who operate in spaces where law is negotiable. I set down my glass with hands that weren't quite steady. You're telling me you're a criminal. I'm telling you I operate in gray spaces. That people fear me for good reason. That the enemies I've made would use anyone close to me as leverage. His voice was flat, emotionless. I'm telling you that being seen by me puts a target on your back. Why are you telling me this? Because you asked me to. He moved closer, crouching before me so we were eye level. Because for 8 months I've watched you hide and I've recognized it because I know what hiding looks like. And because tonight you walked out of your room looking like that and I realized I don't want you to be invisible anymore either. His hand covered mine where it rested on my knee, warm and surprisingly gentle. But I need you to understand what that means. What being seen by me really means. It means security. It means danger. It means I'll protect you from everything except possibly myself. I stared at him, this powerful man who just laid himself bare in ways he clearly didn't do. This man who commanded empires but looked at his daughter like she hung the moon. This man who'd noticed me hiding when I'd thought no one saw. I'm running from something, I heard myself say. Someone. My sister's ex-boyfriend. He was dangerous. When she broke up with him he threatened her. Said he'd make her regret it. So I took her college fund and ran, drew him away from her so she'd be safe. Dante's expression darkened. Is he looking for you? I don't know. I've been careful. Used a different name on my paperwork here, paid cash for everything, stayed invisible. I laughed without humor. Until tonight. What's his name? Why? Because now that I know I can make him stop looking. His tone was matter-of-fact, but his eyes held promises of violence. Give me his name, Julia, and I'll make sure he never threatens you or your sister again. You can't just. I can do whatever I want. He stood pulling me up with him. That's what you don't understand yet. In my world problems disappear. Threats get neutralized. People who hurt what's mine learn very permanent lessons. I'm not yours. Not yet. He stepped closer, his hand coming up to cup my face. But you want to be. I see it in your eyes. The same thing I feel when I look at you. You don't even know me. I know you bite your lip when you're thinking. That you hum when you cook. That you read to Sophia in 3 different voices and make her laugh like no one else can. That you flinch sometimes when doors close too loudly, and you check exits in every room you enter. His thumb stroked my cheekbone. I know you, Cara. I've been watching you for 8 months, learning you without meaning to. My breath came faster, my heart racing. This is crazy. You're my employer. I'm your daughter's. He kissed me. Cut off my protests with his mouth on mine, firm and demanding and absolutely devastating. His hand slid into my hair, tilting my head back as he deepened the kiss, and I forgot every reason this was a terrible idea. When he finally pulled back, we were both breathing hard. Tell me to stop, he said roughly. Tell me this is wrong and I'll let you go to your wedding. We'll forget this happened. I don't want to forget. His eyes flashed dark with desire. Then stay. Miss the wedding. Stay here with me. Dante. I'll send a gift and apology to your friend. I'll give you a dozen reasons why this makes sense. His forehead pressed against mine. Or I'll tell you the truth, that I've wanted you since the day you walked into this house, that watching you hide has been torture, and that seeing you in that dress made me want to lock every door so no one else could look at you. That's incredibly possessive. I told you I wasn't a good man. His smile was sharp. But I'll be good to you, Julia. I'll protect you from everything, including the man you're running from. I'll give you anything you want. All you have to do is say yes. I should have said no. Should have walked away from this dangerous man and his dangerous promises. But as I looked into his eyes, seeing the vulnerability beneath the power, feeling the way my body responded to his proximity, I couldn't find the word. Yes, I whispered instead. Yes, I'll stay. His kiss this time was different. Slower, deeper, a promise of what was to come. And as he led me from his office toward the private wing of the house, I knew my life had just changed irrevocably. I was no longer invisible. I was seen, claimed, his. And God help me, I wanted to be. The morning light streamed through unfamiliar windows, and for a disoriented moment, I couldn't remember where I was. Then the events of last night came flooding back. The dress, the confrontation, Dante's confession, the way he'd kissed me like I was oxygen and he'd been drowning. The way we'd spent the night learning each other with desperate intensity. I turned my head to find him already awake, propped on one elbow, watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. In the soft morning light he looked younger, more vulnerable. His dark hair was mussed from my fingers, and there was a contentment in his eyes I'd never seen before. Buongiorno, he murmured, his voice rough with sleep. Hi. I pulled the sheet higher, suddenly aware of my nakedness, of the magnitude of what we'd done. What time is it? Early. Sophia won't be awake for another hour. His hand came up, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. Regrets? I don't know yet, I admitted honestly. Ask me again when I'm more awake and less. I gestured vaguely at the tangled sheets at us. Less thoroughly satisfied? His smile was wicked. I can help with that. Make you more satisfied, I mean. Heat flooded my cheeks. Dante. I love hearing you say my name. He leaned down, pressing a kiss to my shoulder. I've imagined it 1,000 times these past months. But the reality is so much better. We need to talk about what this means. I sat up, clutching the sheet to my chest. I still work for you. Sophia is still. Everything's changed, Kara. He sat up too, his expression growing serious. You're not just my employee anymore. You're mine. And that means we need to establish new parameters. Parameters. Protection. Security. Making sure the man you're running from never gets anywhere near you. His jaw tightened. Give me his name, Julia. Let me handle this properly. I hesitated, old fear warring with new trust. Marcus Delgado. He was with some gang in Chicago. Has connections, money, a temper that... I swallowed hard. My sister Maria dated him for 6 months before she realized how dangerous he was. When she tried to leave, he started stalking her. Threatened to hurt me. So I took the money she'd saved for Northwestern and ran, hoping he'd follow me instead of focusing on her. Dante's expression had gone cold, the vulnerability from moments ago replaced by something far more dangerous. And did he follow you? I don't know. I've been careful. Changed my appearance, used a different name on my employment papers. What name did you use? Julia Bianchi. My grandmother's maiden name. I figured it was common enough not to draw attention. He was already reaching for his phone on the nightstand. Marco, he said when someone answered. I need you to run a complete background on a Marcus Delgado Chicago-based gang connections. And I need you to check if there's been any search activity for... He looked at me questioningly. Elena Ricci, I supplied. My real name, the one I hadn't used in 8 months. Elena Ricci. Check border crossings, credit card activity, social media monitoring. I want to know if this bastardo is still looking for her. He listened for a moment. No, this is top priority. I want answers by noon. He ended the call and turned back to me, his expression softer. Marco heads my security. He's loyal, discreet, and very good at making problems disappear. Within hours we'll know exactly where Delgado is and what threat he poses. You can't just... I can do exactly that. He cupped my face with both hands. You're under my protection now, Elena. That name suits you better than Julia, by the way. Elena. Beautiful and strong. His thumb stroked my cheekbones. And no one hurts what's mine. The possessiveness should have frightened me. Instead it made something warm unfurl in my chest. For 8 months I'd been alone, hypervigilant, terrified. Having someone else shoulder that burden felt like salvation. What happens now? I asked quietly. Now. He smiled, pressing a kiss to my forehead. Now you shower and dress. I'll have breakfast brought to my private dining room. We'll eat together, talk properly about expectations and boundaries. And then, his expression turned wicked. Then I introduce you to Sophia as something more than her nanny. My stomach dropped. Dante, she's 6 years old. We can't just. We can and we will. He was already standing, gloriously naked and utterly unself-conscious, moving toward what I assumed was an ensuite bathroom. Sophia's been asking why I never date anyone, why all the other children have mothers and she doesn't. She'll be thrilled. Or traumatized that her father is sleeping with her caretaker. He turned back, amusement dancing in his eyes. Elena, I have no intention of hiding what we are from anyone, least of all my daughter. But if it makes you feel better, we'll ease into it. Let her adjust to the idea gradually. Before I could respond, he disappeared into the bathroom. I heard water running and a moment later his head appeared around the doorframe. Join me. I should have said no. Should have insisted on maintaining some boundaries, some semblance of professionalism. Instead, I let the sheet drop and crossed to him, drawn by something stronger than common sense. His hands were reverent as they soaped my skin, his kisses tender in the steam-filled space. We made love again, slow and sweet, and I felt pieces of myself that had been frozen for months beginning to thaw. An hour later, I sat across from Dante at a small table in his private dining room, wearing one of his shirts that fell nearly to my knees and nothing else. Rosa had brought breakfast without comment, though I'd caught the knowing smile she'd tried to hide. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. Tell me about your sister, Dante said, spreading jam on a cornetto. Maria, you said? She's 19. Studying pre-med at University of Illinois, though she had to settle for that instead of Northwestern because I took her college fund. Guilt twisted in my chest. She wanted to be a doctor since she was 10. And I ruined that. You saved her life. His tone brooked no argument. The money can be replaced. Her safety cannot. He paused. When was the last time you spoke to her? 3 months ago. We agreed it was safer not to communicate too frequently in case Marcus was monitoring her phone. I picked at my food. I miss her. She's the only family I have left. Then we'll bring her here. He said it like it was simple, like logistics and danger meant nothing. Once Marco confirms the threat level, we'll arrange secure transport. She can finish her degree at one of the universities in Milan or Como. I'll cover her tuition. I stared at him. You can't just. Elena. He reached across the table, taking my hand. You need to stop telling me what I can't do. I'm one of the wealthiest men in Italy with connections that span continents. Bringing your sister here safely and ensuring her education is nothing. Less than nothing. Why would you do this? His expression softened. Because she matters to you. That makes her matter to me. He lifted my hand to his lips. And because I want you to understand that being mine means I take care of everything. Your safety, your family, your happiness. All of it. Tears pricked my eyes. I don't know how to accept this. How to let someone else. You learn. He stood, pulling me up with him. Come. Sophia will be having breakfast soon and I want you there. Not as her nanny but as. He paused. What do you want to be to her? I want to be someone who makes her feel loved and safe. I bit my lip. But Dante, she's been through so much already. Losing her mother so young. If this thing between us doesn't work out. It will work out. His certainty was absolute. Because I don't fail at things I care about. And I care about this. About you. In the main dining room, Sophia was already at the table, her nanny Anna sitting beside her. The little girl's face lit up when she saw us enter together. Papa. You're eating with me. Then her eyes landed on me and confusion crossed her features. Julia? Why are you wearing Papa's shirt? I felt my face flame. Dante, completely unruffled, settled into his chair and pulled me down into the one beside him. Sophia, we need to have a talk. The little girl's eyes went wide. Am I in trouble? No, principessa. Nothing like that. He reached over, taking my hand in full view of her and Anna. Julia. Actually, her real name is Elena. And she's not just going to be your nanny anymore. She's going to be my... He looked at me questioningly. Girlfriend, I supplied, my heart hammering. If that's okay with you, Sophia. Sophia looked between us, her young face scrunched in thought. Like in the movies? When the prince and princess fall in love. Exactly like that, Dante said seriously. Is that okay with you? Will Elena still play with me? Of course, I said quickly. Nothing about that will change. And will she live with us? In the big house instead of the small room? Dante's hand tightened on mine. Yes. She'll live with us. Sophia considered this for a long moment. Then her face broke into a brilliant smile. Okay. Can we have pancakes to celebrate? The tension in the room evaporated. Anna excused herself with a knowing smile, and Rosa appeared with pancakes as if she'd been waiting for exactly this request. As we ate, Sophia chattered excitedly about all the things we could do now that I was Papa's girlfriend. We could have family movie nights. I could read her bedtime stories in Papa's voice instead of my own. Maybe, she suggested with the innocence of childhood, maybe someday I could be her new mama. Dante's hand found mine under the table, squeezing gently. When I looked at him, I saw emotion swimming in his eyes that he was trying to hide. After breakfast, while Sophia went to her morning lessons, Dante led me to his office. Marco was already there, a thick file on the desk. Signor Moretti. Marco nodded respectfully, his eyes flicking to me with something that might have been approval. I have the information you requested. And? Marco's expression darkened. Marcus Delgado is still in Chicago, but he's been actively searching for Elena Ricci. He's hired a private investigator, put out feelers with contacts in various cities. So far he hasn't looked in Italy, probably assumes she stayed in the States. My stomach churned with fear. Pie's sister. Safe. For now. He's had someone watching her apartment, but she's smart. Varies her routines, never goes anywhere alone. Marco glanced at Dante. I'd recommend we bring her here sooner rather than later. The longer she stays, the more likely he uses her to draw Elena out. Arrange it, Dante said immediately. Secure transport today if possible. I want her on a plane to Milan by nightfall. Dante, she has classes, which she can finish online or transfer. He turned to me, his expression brooking no argument. Elena, this isn't negotiable. Your sister is in danger. I'm removing her from that danger. End of discussion. I should have been angry at his high-handedness. Instead, I felt relief wash through me so powerfully I nearly sobbed. Thank you, I whispered. Marco cleared his throat. There's more. Delgado has connections to the Vitali family, one of the Chicago crime syndicates. They're small-time compared to operations here, but they're violent. If he calls in favors, he won't get the chance. Dante's voice had gone cold. I want eyes on him around the clock. I want to know every move he makes, everyone he talks to. And Marco? Make sure he knows someone powerful is watching. I want him scared. Understood. Marco's smile was sharp. I'll reach out to our Chicago contacts. Spread the word that Elena Ricci is under Moretti protection. That should make him think twice. After Marco left, I turned to Dante. I can't believe this is happening. That you're doing all this. Believe it. He pulled me into his arms, his chin resting on top of my head. You're mine now, Elena. That means your problems are my problems. Your enemies are my enemies. And I protect what's mine with everything I have. Even though we've only been together one night? I've wanted you for 8 months. His arms tightened. Last night just made it official. The rest of the day passed in a blur of arrangements. Marco coordinating Maria's extraction from Chicago. Rosa preparing a room for my sister in the main house. Dante making calls in rapid Italian, his voice sharp with authority as he ensured every detail was handled perfectly. I spent the afternoon with Sophia, trying to maintain normalcy while my world shifted beneath my feet. She seemed delighted by the change, constantly asking questions about Papa and me, about whether we'd get married, whether she'd get baby brothers and sisters. Slow down, Piccola, I laughed, braiding her hair. One step at a time. But Papa looks happy, she said seriously. He hasn't looked happy since Mama died. You make him happy. The simple observation made my throat tight. He makes me happy too. Good. She twisted to look at me. Then you should stay forever. That evening, Dante found me in what had been my room in the service wing, packing my meager belongings. He leaned against the doorframe, watching as I folded clothes. Rosa can do that, he said. I can do it myself. I know you can. But you don't have to anymore. He crossed the room, taking the shirt from my hands. Let me take care of you, Elena. Let me give you everything you've been denying yourself. I'm not good at being taken care of. Then learn. He tilted my face up, his thumb brushing my lips. Because I'm not good at holding back. And now that I have you, I'm going to spoil you relentlessly. Dante. His kiss cut off my protest, thorough and possessive. When he pulled back, we were both breathing hard. Your sister lands in 2 hours, he murmured against my lips. I thought we'd have dinner together. The 4 of us. Start building the family I didn't know I wanted until you walked into my life. You're moving so fast. I'm 35 years old, Elena. I know what I want. And I want you. And my Huma and my Bait and my Lifa. Permanently. His eyes searched mine. Tell me that terrifies you. It does, I admitted. But it also feels right in a way nothing has in years. Then trust it. Trust me. He pressed his forehead to mine. I know my world is dangerous. I know being with me comes with risks. But I swear to you I will never let anything hurt you. You or your sister or Sophia. You're my family now. And I protect my family above everything else. Maria's arrival was emotional chaos. She burst into the entrance hall, saw me, and threw herself into my arms with a sob that came from somewhere deep. Elena. Oh my God, I thought. When that man came and said I had to come to Italy immediately, I thought something had happened to you. I'm fine. I held her tight, tears streaming down my face. I'm so fine. And you're safe now. We're both safe. She pulled back, looking around at the opulent entrance hall, then at Dante standing nearby with Sophia at his side. This is insane. Your boss sent a private plane for me. A private plane. And there were bodyguards and, she lowered her voice. Elena, what is going on? I'll explain everything. I glanced at Dante, who gave me an encouraging nod. But first let me introduce you. Maria, this is Dante Moretti. And this is his daughter Sophia. I'm Elena's boyfriend, Sophia announced proudly. Well, Papa is. But I helped. Maria's eyes went comically wide. Your boss is your boyfriend? The one you said never even looked at you. It's complicated, I said weakly. It's simple, Dante corrected, stepping forward with that easy confidence. I fell in love with your sister. She's been hiding from a dangerous man, and I'm making sure he never hurts either of you. You're welcome to stay here as long as you like. There's a room prepared for you, and I've arranged for you to continue your studies at the University of Milan. Full scholarship. Maria looked like she might faint. I'm sorry, what? Over dinner we explained everything. Maria listened with growing disbelief as I told her about the past 8 months, about staying invisible, about last night's revelation. Dante, with surprising gentleness, explained about Marcus, about the protection he was arranging, about his intention to neutralize the threat permanently. So you're like, what, the Italian Mafia? Maria asked, her pre-med student brain trying to make sense of it all. Something like that, Dante said easily. Though we prefer to think of it as a family business with diverse interests. And you're just okay with Elena being involved in that? She's not involved in the business. She's involved with me. There's a difference. His hand found mine on the table. But I won't lie to you, Maria. My world comes with dangers. With enemies who might see your sister as leverage. Which is why the security around both of you will be extensive. Extensive how? Marco, who'd been standing discreetly near the door, stepped forward. Bodyguards when you leave the estate. Security monitoring on all communications. Protocols for emergencies. And anyone who comes near either of you gets vetted thoroughly. Maria looked at me, her expression a mixture of concern and wonder. Are you sure about this? I looked at Dante, at the way he was watching me with such intensity, such certainty. At Sophia, who'd fallen asleep with her head on my lap during dinner. At this life that had appeared overnight like a dream. I'm sure, I said softly. For the first time in 8 months, I'm not afraid. I'm not hiding. I'm just living. Then I'm happy for you. Maria squeezed my hand. Even if your boyfriend is terrifying and this whole situation is insane. Dante smiled, the expression transforming his face. I'll grow on you. Everyone says so. No one says that, Marco interjected. Everyone fears you. Elena doesn't fear me. Elena's different, I said, meeting his eyes. Elena sees past the fear to what's underneath. That night, after we'd settled Maria into her new room and tucked Sophia into bed, Dante led me to what he announced was now our bedroom. The space was enormous, all dark wood and masculine elegance, with a bed that could sleep 4 and windows overlooking the moonlit lake. This is really happening, I said, standing at the window. I'm really here. With you. He came up behind me, his arms wrapping around my waist, his chin resting on my shoulder. This is really happening. And Cara, this is just the beginning. The beginning of what? Everything. He turned me to face him, his hands framing my face. I'm going to court you properly. Take you to dinner, buy you things you don't need, show you off to everyone who matters. I'm going to make love to you every night and wake up with you every morning. I'm going to protect you from every threat, real or imagined. That's a lot of promises. I keep my promises. His kiss was soft, reverent. But first I'm going to neutralize Marcus Delgado. Make sure he never poses a threat to you or your sister again. A chill ran down my spine. What are you going to do? Whatever's necessary. His expression hardened. He threatened you, stalked you, made you run and hide and give up your life. That's unforgivable. Dante. Elena, I need you to understand something. His hands tightened slightly on my waist. I'm not a good man. I do bad things to protect what's mine. And you're mine now. So whatever happens to Delgado, whatever consequences he faces, that's on him for making the mistake of threatening you. I should have been horrified. Should have pushed back against his darkness. But standing there in his arms, finally safe after months of fear, I found I couldn't summon the outrage. I don't want you to do anything that puts you at risk, I said instead. I won't. I have people for that. He smiled, dark and dangerous. But I will make sure he understands that you're untouchable. That even thinking about you is a death sentence. You're very intense. Only about things that matter. He lifted me effortlessly, carrying me toward the bed. And you matter, Elena. More than anything has in a very long time. As he laid me down on the silk sheets, as his hands and mouth reminded me exactly how much I mattered to him, I let go of the last vestiges of fear. Let myself sink into this new reality where I was protected, cherished, claimed. I was no longer running. I was home. 3 weeks passed like a dream I was afraid to wake from. Maria settled into the estate with surprising ease, throwing herself into her studies at the University of Milan with the same fierce determination she'd always had. Sofia bloomed with having another woman in the house, constantly dragging both Maria and me into her elaborate games of make-believe. Dante was everywhere. In the mornings, pulling me close before the house woke. During the day, finding excuses to touch me as we passed in hallways. At night, making love to me with an intensity that left me breathless and certain that whatever we had was far more than physical attraction. But beneath the surface of domestic bliss, I felt the tension building. Marco's reports about Marcus Delgado grew more concerning. The man was obsessed, spending money he didn't have on investigators, putting out feelers in increasingly desperate patterns. He'd figured out I'd left the country, was systematically checking European cities. It was only a matter of time before he looked toward Italy. We need to end this, Dante said one evening, his voice tight with controlled anger. We were in his office, Marco standing nearby with another report. Delgado's getting close. He's been asking questions about domestic workers in Como, cross-referencing with women who fit Elena's description. My stomach churned with fear. How close? Close enough that I'm moving up the timeline. Dante's expression was granite. Marco, I want the team ready tomorrow night. We'll handle this in Milan, draw him away from the estate. Handle it how? I asked, though part of me didn't want to know. Dante's eyes met mine, dark and uncompromising. However necessary. He's threatened you, Car. That means he's forfeited any mercy I might have shown. You're going to kill him. If he's smart, it won't come to that. But if he forces the issue... He stood, moving around the desk to pull me into his arms. I will do whatever it takes to keep you safe. Whatever it takes. I pressed my face against his chest, breathing in his familiar scent. I don't want you to become a monster because of me. I was already a monster, Elena. You just made me a monster with something to lose. His lips brushed my hair. And that makes me infinitely more dangerous. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in Dante's arms, listening to his steady breathing, and tried to reconcile the man who read Sofia bedtime stories with the man who could order someone's death without hesitation. Stop thinking so loudly, Dante murmured, his voice rough with sleep. I can feel your brain spinning from here. I'm scared, I admitted. Not of Marcus, but what happens after. Of whether this life is sustainable. He rolled to face me, his hand cupping my cheek. What do you mean? I mean, how long can we keep living like this? With threats and security and violence always lurking? What happens when Sofia gets older and starts asking questions? What happens if... If what? If I can't handle it. The confession came out small. If I'm not strong enough for this world. Dante's expression softened. Elena, you've already proven you're strong enough. You protected your sister by drawing danger to yourself. You survived 8 months alone in a foreign country. You faced down my intensity without flinching. His thumb stroked my cheek. You're stronger than you know. But what if? No more what ifs. He kissed me gently. Tomorrow this threat ends. And then we move forward. Build the life we both want. Together. What life is that? His smile was tender. One where you don't have to be afraid anymore. Where your sister can finish school without looking over her shoulder. Where Sofia has the family she's been asking for. He paused. Where we get married and have babies and grow old annoying each other. My breath caught. Married. Eventually. When you're ready. His eyes searched mine. Unless that's not what you want? I don't know what I want beyond right now. Beyond being with you. Then that's enough. For now. He pulled me closer, his warmth surrounding me. Sleep, Kara. Tomorrow changes everything. The next day dawned gray and threatening, storm clouds gathering over the lake. I went through the motions of normalcy. Breakfast with Sophia, helping Maria prepare for her anatomy exam, reviewing household matters with Rosa. But underneath, dread coiled in my stomach. Dante was gone by noon, taking Marco and half the security team with him. He'd kissed me thoroughly before leaving, his hands tight on my waist. Stay in the house, he'd ordered. Don't go near the windows. Marco's left men here. If anything happens, they'll protect you. What could happen? You're going to Milan. And Delgado might not be working alone. His jaw clenched. Promise me, Elena. Stay inside. Keep Sophia and Maria close. I'd promised, though the restrictions chafed. Now watching the storm gather, I felt like a caged bird. He'll be fine, Maria said, joining me at the window. Dante seems like the kind of guy who's always fine. He's going to confront a dangerous man because of me. He's going to protect you from a dangerous man. There's a difference. She bumped my shoulder. And I have to say, as scary as your boyfriend is, I'm grateful. Marcus terrified me. Knowing he's being handled, she shuddered. It's a relief. Even if handled means. I don't care what it means. Her voice was fierce. He stalked you. Threatened you. Made you run. Whatever happens to him, he brought on himself. Sophia appeared, her stuffed rabbit clutched to her chest. Elena? There's a man at the front door. He says he knows you. Every cell in my body went cold. What? A man. He's talking to Luca at the gate. Luca was one of the security team Dante had left behind. He says he's your friend from America. Oh. No. I ran to the security room, Maria right behind me. On the monitors I could see him, Marcus Delgado, more haggard than I remembered but unmistakable. He was arguing with Luca, his body language aggressive. How did he find us? Maria whispered. I don't know. My hands shook as I grabbed the phone, dialing Dante's number. It went straight to voicemail. I tried Marco, same result. They must be in the meeting already, phones off. On the screen, Marcus was getting more agitated. I saw him pull something from his jacket. A gun. Get Sophia, I told Maria urgently. Take her to the safe room in the basement. Now. What about you? I'll handle this. I had no idea how, but I couldn't let him hurt anyone in this house. Go. Maria grabbed Sophia and ran. I watched on the monitors as Marcus overpowered Luca. The guard was good, but Marcus had the advantage of surprise and desperation. He was inside the gate, running toward the house. I grabbed the phone again, this time calling the local police. But I knew they wouldn't arrive in time. And I knew Marcus. He wouldn't leave without me. The front door burst open. I heard his voice, hoarse and desperate. Elena. I know you're here. I've been watching this place for days. I moved quietly through the halls, keeping to the shadows. The other security guards were converging on his position, but I needed to draw him away from where Maria and Sophia were hidden. Marcus. I stepped into view at the top of the main staircase. I'm here. He spun, the gun rising. Up close he looked terrible, gaunt, wild-eyed, like he hadn't slept in weeks. There you are. Finally. His laugh was unhinged. Do you have any idea what you've put me through? The money I've spent trying to find you. You didn't need to find me. I left to get away from you. You left to protect your little sister. He started up the stairs, the gun never wavering. Thought I was too stupid to figure that out? I knew you'd run. Knew you'd try to be the hero. Marcus, please. Just leave. You got what you wanted. I'm gone. Maria's safe. Just walk away. Walk away. His voice rose. After everything? Well, you're coming with me. You're going to tell me everything about this rich bastardo you're shacking up with, and then we're going to make him pay for hiding you. That's not going to happen. I kept my voice steady despite the fear flooding through me. Dante will be back soon. He'll what? Save you. Marcus laughed. Your prince isn't coming, Elena. I made sure of that. Called in a bomb threat at his precious Milan office. He's going to be busy for hours. My heart sank. Marcus had planned this perfectly, drawn Dante away, isolated me. Behind him I saw movement. One of the guards positioning himself. I needed to keep Marcus distracted. You want money? I'll give you money. Dante has plenty. I don't want money. He was close now, close enough that I could see the madness in his eyes. I want you to understand that you don't get to just leave. That there are consequences. The guard rushed him from behind. Marcus spun, the gun firing. The guard went down and my scream echoed through the marble hallway. Then chaos erupted. More guards converged, but Marcus was wild, firing blindly. I ran, knowing I needed to lead him away from the basement where Sophia and Maria were hidden. He followed, shouting my name, his footsteps pounding behind me. I burst into Dante's office, slamming the door and locking it. My hands shook as I opened the drawer where I knew he kept a gun. He'd shown me once, insisted I know where it was in case of emergency. This definitely qualified as an emergency. The door shuddered as Marcus kicked it. Once. Twice. The lock wouldn't hold. I raised the gun, my hands steadier than I expected. When the door burst open and Marcus stumbled through, I didn't hesitate. Stop. Right there. He froze, his eyes widening as he saw the weapon pointed at his chest. You won't shoot me. I will if you take another step. Elena. Drop your gun. Now. For a moment we stood frozen. Then his expression shifted, something calculating entering his eyes. You're not a killer. I know you. You're too soft too. He raised his gun. I fired. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. Marcus staggered, looking down at the blood blooming across his shoulder in shock. His gun clattered to the floor. I told you to stop, I said, my voice surprisingly calm. I warned you. He collapsed to his knees and suddenly the room was full of security guards, of shouting and movement. Someone took the gun from my hands. Someone else was talking on a phone, calling for medical assistance. And then Dante was there, bursting through the door with Marco right behind him, his face a mask of terror that cracked when he saw me standing whole. Elena. He crossed to me in 2 strides, his hands running over me frantically, checking for injuries. Dio mio, when I got the call, are you hurt? Did he touch you? I'm fine. But I was starting to shake now, adrenaline fading. I shot him. Dante, I shot. Sure, I know. I know. He pulled me into his arms, his whole body trembling. You're safe. That's all that matters. Sophia and Maria are fine. Marco's getting them now. His lips pressed against my hair, my temple, my cheeks, like he needed to confirm I was real. You were supposed to be safe. I left guards, I took precautions. He was smart. And desperate. I pulled back to look at him. Is the guard the one he shot? He'll live. Took it in the shoulder. Dante's expression was granite as he looked at Marcus, now being tended by medics while surrounded by armed guards. But this pezzo di merda will wish I'd let him die when I'm done with him. Dante. No. His voice was cold, final. He came into my home. Threatened you, shot one of my men, terrorized my daughter. There are consequences for that. Over the next hours, the house filled with police, with medical personnel, with Dante's lawyers who arrived to handle the statements. Marcus was taken away in an ambulance, handcuffed to the gurney, facing charges of breaking and entering, assault, attempted kidnapping. But I knew that wouldn't be the end of it. Knew that Dante would ensure Marcus faced consequences far beyond what the legal system would provide. He'll never threaten you again, Dante said later, after the chaos had died down and we were alone in our bedroom. Sophia was sleeping between us, having refused to leave my side since the incident. I give you my word, Elena. He'll disappear somewhere he can never hurt anyone again. I don't want to know the details. You don't have to. His arm tightened around both Sophia and me. All you need to know is that you're safe. Forever. 2 months later, I stood in Dante's home office wearing an emerald green dress, the same one from that first night, and watched the sunset paint the lake in gold and crimson. So much had changed. Marcus Delgado had been deported back to the United States, where he faced federal charges for interstate stalking and weapons violations. He'd taken a plea deal that would keep him in prison for 15 years minimum. Whatever additional persuasion Dante had applied to ensure Marcus's cooperation, I'd chosen not to ask. Maria was thriving at the University of Milan, her pre-med courses going well, her nightmares about Marcus fading. She'd even started dating a nice Italian boy from her anatomy class, much to Dante's overprotective horror. Sophia had recovered quickly from the incident, the resilience of childhood protecting her from lasting trauma. She still sometimes crawled into our bed at night but less frequently. And she'd started calling me Mama, casually, like it was the most natural thing in the world. As for Dante and me, there you are. His voice came from the doorway, warm with affection. Rosa said you were hiding. Not hiding. Thinking. I turned to face him, this complicated, dangerous, wonderful man who'd changed my life. About how different things are now. He crossed to me, his hands settling on my waist. Better or worse? Better. Definitely better. I looped my arms around his neck. Though I never imagined my life would include armed guards and international incidents. Keeps things interesting. His smile was teasing but his eyes were serious. Any regrets? About you? Never. I kissed him softly. About shooting someone? I'm working through that. With the therapist I hired? Who's very good and very expensive, yes. Dr. Castellani, no relation, was helping me process the trauma of that day, the complicated feelings about defending myself with lethal force. She says I'm making progress. Good. His hands tightened possessively. Because I need you whole and happy, Elena. Need you here with me building this life. I am here. I'm not going anywhere. Promise. I promise. I pulled back slightly. Though I do have something to tell you. Concern flickered across his face. What? Nothing bad. I took his hand, placing it on my still flat stomach. Actually, something good. Really good. He went very still, his eyes widening as understanding dawned. Elena. Are you? About 6 weeks along. I found out this morning. I bit my lip. I know we didn't plan this, that it's fast, but... He kissed me, cutting off my nervous rambling, his hands cradling my face like I was something precious. When he pulled back, his eyes were bright with unshed tears. We're having a baby. Yes. We're having a baby. Dio mio. He pressed his forehead to mine, his breathing unsteady. A baby. Sophia's going to lose her mind. She's been asking for a baby brother or sister since we got together. She's getting her wish. His hand returned to my stomach, resting there with infinite gentleness. And I'm getting mine. A family. A real family. You already had a family. I had Sophia. Now I have you and Maria, and soon. His voice cracked. Elena, you've given me everything I didn't know I needed. Tears spilled down my cheeks. You saved me. Gave me a home when I was running. Protected me when I was afraid. Loved me when I didn't think I deserved it. You deserve everything. He wiped my tears with his thumbs. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving it to you. Starting with. His smile was wicked. Starting with making an honest woman of you. Can't have my baby born out of wedlock. My mother would never forgive me. Is that a proposal? That's a statement of fact. But he was already reaching into his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. Though I had planned to do this more romantically. Maybe dinner in Milan, rose petals, the whole production. I don't need production. I know. But I want to give it to you anyway. He opened the box, revealing a ring that took my breath away. A stunning emerald surrounded by diamonds, the stone the exact shade of the dress I was wearing. This was my grandmother's. She left it to me before she died, told me to give it to the woman who made me believe in love again. Dante. He dropped to one knee, his eyes never leaving mine. Elena Ricci, you walked into my house 8 months ago trying to be invisible. Instead you became everything I see. You challenged me, protected my daughter, made me want to be better than I am. And now you're giving me a child, expanding our family in ways I never dared dream. His voice roughened with emotion. Will you marry me? Make this permanent? Let me spend the rest of my life protecting you, loving you, annoying you with my overprotective intensity. I laughed through my tears. Yes. Yes, I'll marry you. He stood, sliding the ring onto my finger with hands that trembled slightly. Then he kissed me, deep and claiming a promise of everything to come. When? I asked when we finally broke apart. Tomorrow if I had my way. He pressed kisses along my jaw. But probably we should wait at least a few weeks. Give Maria time to finish her exams. Let Sophia help plan something elaborate. Torture me with anticipation. A few weeks sounds perfect. Or, his eyes lit with mischief. We could fly to Vegas tonight. Get married by Elvis. Really scandalize the family. Your mother would actually kill you. Worth it to make you mine faster. But he was smiling. Fine. We'll do it properly. Big Italian wedding, hundreds of relatives you've never met, food for days. The whole chaotic mess. I can't wait. We stood there in his office as the last light faded from the sky, holding each other, marveling at how far we'd come. From invisible maid to cherished fiancé. From lonely single father to the center of a growing family. From fear to safety to love. Thank you for seeing me, Dante murmured against my hair. For not running when you learned what I really am. Thank you for seeing me first. I pulled back to look at him. For noticing when I was trying so hard to hide. I couldn't help but notice. You were magnetic even in your invisibility. His hand returned to my stomach. And now we get to build something real. Something lasting. Something good. The best thing. He kissed me again, soft and reverent. I love you, Elena. More than I thought possible. I love you too. 6 months later, I stood in the garden of Dante's Lake Como estate wearing a cream-colored dress that accommodated my growing belly, holding a bouquet of white roses, watching Sophia scatter flower petals with elaborate ceremony. Maria stood beside me in her bridesmaid dress, wiping tears from her eyes. Ready, she whispered. I looked down the aisle to where Dante waited, devastatingly handsome in his tuxedo, his eyes locked on me with such love it made my breath catch. Around us, hundreds of people had gathered. His family, my small circle of friends, business associates who'd traveled from across Europe to witness this union. But all I saw was him. The man who'd caught me in an emerald dress and never let go. Who'd protected me, cherished me, built a life around me. Who was about to become my husband and the father of our child. Ready, I said. The music began. Sophia finished her pedal distribution and scurried to her place. Maria squeezed my hand once, then walked down the aisle ahead of me. And then it was my turn. I walked toward Dante, toward our future, toward everything I'd never dared dream of during those months of hiding. His eyes never left mine and I saw everything there. Love, desire, fierce protectiveness and absolute certainty. When I reached him he took my hand, his grip firm and sure. You're beautiful, he murmured for my ears only. You're not so bad yourself. The ceremony was a blur of Italian and English, of promises and tears, of Sophia loudly whispering commentary until Maria shushed her. When Dante slid the wedding band onto my finger beside the engagement ring, his hands were steady, sure. I promise to protect you, he said, his vows deviating from the traditional. To cherish you. To give you everything you need and most things you want. To be the man you see when you look at me, even when I struggle to see him myself. To love you completely, fiercely, forever. My own vows came through tears. I promise to see you. The good and the complicated and the dangerous. To stand beside you, not behind you. To build this family with you, this life that's more than either of us imagined. To love you without fear, without reservation for as long as we both live. I now pronounce you husband and wife, the officiant said, beaming. You may kiss your bride. Dante pulled me close, his kiss tender despite the passion I felt vibrating through him. The crowd erupted in applause, but I barely heard it over the sound of my own heart, over the feeling of rightness that filled every cell. When we finally broke apart, he rested his forehead against mine. Mine, he whispered. Yours, I confirmed. Always yours. Sophia launched herself at us, wrapping her arms around both our legs. Mama. Papa. We're a real family now. Dante scooped her up, his other arm staying tight around me. We've always been a real family, Principessa. Today just makes it official. The reception was everything he'd promised. Excessive, chaotic, full of food and wine and relatives who wanted to touch my belly and offer advice in rapid Italian. Maria danced with her boyfriend who'd been thoroughly vetted and intimidated by Dante. Rosa cried happy tears while Marco watched the perimeter with his usual vigilance. And through it all, Dante never left my side. His hand constantly finding mine, his eyes tracking me even when pulled into conversations, his love a tangible thing I could feel wrapping around me like armor. As the sun set over the lake, painting everything in shades of gold, he pulled me onto the dance floor for our first dance as husband and wife. Happy? He asked, holding me close despite my belly making it slightly awkward. Happier than I knew possible. I rested my head against his chest, listening to his steady heartbeat. Thank you for catching me that night. For not letting me stay invisible. Thank you for being worth catching. He pressed a kiss to my hair. For being brave enough to stay even when my world tried to swallow you whole. Your world didn't swallow me. It gave me a home. We swayed together as stars began appearing overhead, our family and friends surrounding us, our future stretching out bright and full of promise. I'd come to Italy running from danger, seeking only to survive. Instead I'd found this love that transformed, protection that empowered, a family built from broken pieces into something whole and beautiful. I love you, Dante murmured, his hands cradling my face. My wife, mother of my children, the woman who made me believe in goodness again. I love you too, I whispered back. My husband, my protector, the man who showed me what it means to truly be seen. Our kiss was soft, sweet, full of promises kept and new ones yet to make. Around us, applause erupted again, but we stayed lost in each other in this moment, in the absolute certainty that whatever came next, we'd face it together. I was no longer the invisible maid in an emerald dress. I was Elena Moretti. Wife. Mother. Beloved. And I was finally, completely home. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.